Lady Sarah McCorquodale, the older sister of Princess Diana, has maintained a low profile despite her significant role in modern royal history. Born Elizabeth Sarah Lavinia Spencer on March 19, 1955, Sarah has been a figure of strength and loyalty in Diana's life, influencing her sister's destiny in profound ways. Now, at 66, Sarah is beginning to share her long-hidden life story. Coming from the esteemed Spencer family, she faced both privilege and pressure, especially after her father became the 8th Earl Spencer in 1975, making her the Honorable. Despite appearances, Sarah battled personal struggles, including severe eating disorders in her youth, affecting her social life. Educated at Riddlesworth Hall and Westheath boarding school, she was surrounded by high society. However, it was Diana's rise within the British royal family that thrust Sarah into the limelight, with their bond often scrutinized by the public, as critics sought to undermine the Spencer family's image by targeting Sarah. The strong bond between sisters Diana and Sarah laid a crucial foundation for Diana amid her tumultuous life, especially during her troubled marriage to Prince Charles. Sarah provided unwavering support to Diana, becoming her confidant as Diana navigated the challenges of royal life, fostering her sister's resilience against royal confines. In a surprising revelation, Sarah shared that before Diana, she had a romantic relationship with Charles, which she ended with a bold declaration that she would not marry him, regardless of his status. This rejection not only altered Sarah's path, but indirectly led to Diana's eventual match with Charles, transforming a family connection into a romantic story that captivated the world. Unfortunately, after initial happiness, their union spiraled into one of the most tragic royal sagas. To grasp Sarah's profound influence on Diana, it is also essential to consider Diana's troubled upbringing, marked by her parents' tumultuous divorce when she was young, which cast a shadow over her future relationships and experiences. Diana was raised by her father, the Earl Spencer, amidst a strained relationship with her demanding stepmother, Reine, Countess of Dartmouth. This lonely childhood shaped Diana into a woman seeking love and validation beyond her family, ultimately leading her to a tragic royal marriage. In 1977, Sarah introduced Diana to Prince Charles, who was 12 years her senior, and a romance blossomed. Drawn to Diana's innocence, Charles became her Prince Charming. However, the realities of royal life soon overshadowed their courtship. By 1981, they were married in a globally televised ceremony, but their fairy tale quickly cracked under pressure. Diana faced immense challenges with her marriage, media scrutiny, and public expectations, impacting her mental and emotional well-being. Her relationship with Charles deteriorated, drawing public scrutiny. Throughout this turmoil, it was Sarah who supported Diana behind the scenes. Even after Diana's tragic passing, Sarah remained committed to honoring her sister's memory, ensuring that her legacy continued. Lady Sarah McCorquodale's life is an undeniable testament to the powerful and sometimes destructive forces of family dynamics, fame, and love. Her relationship with Prince Charles, her role in Diana's life, and the choices she made ultimately set in motion events that would change the course of royal history forever. In her quiet but steadfast manner, Sarah has lived a life that, while often in the shadows, played a pivotal role in the very public narrative of her sister, Princess Diana. Her recent revelations shed light on a relationship that shaped not only her own life, but also the destiny of one of the most iconic women in history. Lady Sarah McCorquodale, the older sister of Princess Diana, has long been a figure of intrigue and mystery. For decades, she played a significant role in her sister's life, offering support and guidance during some of the most pivotal moments of Diana's tumultuous journey. Yet, despite her importance in the royal family's complex history, Sarah remained largely in the shadows, staying out of the public eye and allowing her younger sister to take center stage. But now, at the age of 66, Sarah has decided to step forward, sharing details of her life and her role in Diana's story that many never knew. Sarah's life is one of contrast. While born into privilege and aristocracy, it was never the glamorous, easy existence that many would expect. From her early years as the daughter of the 8th Earl Spencer, Sarah grew up with a keen understanding of the weight of family responsibility. She was raised in the elegant world of British high society, but her journey wasn't without its struggles. Sarah battled with personal demons, including eating disorders that plagued her throughout her early adulthood. Despite the challenges she faced, she managed to carve out her own path, and her relationship with her younger sister Diana became one of the most crucial and defining aspects of her life. At the heart of Sarah's influence on Diana was the bond they shared. As sisters, they were incredibly close, and when Diana faced adversity, it was Sarah who often stepped in to offer the much-needed support. Their connection was deep, and as Diana entered the complicated world of royalty, Sarah became her steadfast ally. Even when Diana's marriage to Prince Charles began to show signs of strain, it was Sarah who acted as a pillar of strength for her. Their shared experiences, particularly in dealing with the pressures of public scrutiny and royal expectations, formed the foundation of an unbreakable bond between the two women. But Sarah's involvement in her sister's life wasn't just about offering emotional support. It was she who, in a twist of fate, introduced Diana to Prince Charles. Before Diana became the beloved princess of the world, Sarah had a relationship with Charles herself. It was a romance that, despite its intensity, didn't last. Sarah's rejection of Charles would become a key turning point in the royal family's history. Her public and firm refusal to marry him, even if he were the king, was a dramatic moment that made headlines. The decision to end their relationship set the stage for Diana's own love story with Charles, which would unfold in a way that captivated the world. Though Sarah's relationship with Charles ended, her place within the royal circle remained intact. By the time Diana met Charles, Sarah had already moved on from her past romance with the prince. But it was Sarah who, after her breakup, played an unexpected role in facilitating the connection between Diana and Charles. The two sisters' fates were intertwined in ways that neither could have anticipated, and it was this connection that would ultimately change the course of royal history. Diana's life story is well known to millions. Her fairy tale marriage to Prince Charles, her rise to global fame, and her role as a philanthropist. But what many don't know is that behind the scenes, it was Sarah who played a key role in shaping Diana's actions and decisions. When Diana entered the royal family, she did so with a sense of duty and responsibility, but she also brought her own goals and dreams with her. One of Diana's most significant achievements was her humanitarian work. With Sarah's encouragement and support, Diana became a voice for the voiceless, advocating for causes that had long been overlooked. Diana's work with the HIV/AIDS crisis in the 1980s was groundbreaking. In a time when AIDS was heavily stigmatized, Diana defied the fear and misconceptions surrounding the disease. She became one of the first public figures to actively interact with AIDS patients, famously shaking hands with them in 1987 without wearing gloves. This simple act of compassion helped to change the public perception of AIDS, humanizing those affected and providing them with much-needed support. Diana's involvement in the fight against HIV/AIDS earned her widespread recognition, but it was her continued efforts to bring attention to other social issues that cemented her status as a global icon. In addition to her work with HIV/AIDS, Diana also became a fierce advocate for the demining movement, working with the Halo Trust to raise awareness about the devastating impact of landmines. Her visit to a minefield in Angola in 1997, where she walked through the dangerous area while wearing protective gear, was a powerful moment that captured the attention of the world. Diana's actions in this area helped to push for the signing of the Ottawa Treaty, which banned the use of anti-personnel mines and saved countless lives. Throughout these efforts, Sarah continued to be Diana's rock. Even when the pressures of royal life became overwhelming, Sarah was there, offering advice and guidance. Diana's relationship with Charles had always been rocky, and as the years went on, the cracks in their marriage became increasingly apparent. It was during these difficult times that Diana turned to Sarah for support. When rumors of Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles began to circulate, it was Sarah who helped Diana stay strong and focused. The end of Diana's marriage to Charles was a turning point in both women's lives. Diana's heartbreak was visible to the world, but behind closed doors, it was Sarah who helped her sister navigate the pain. As Diana faced public humiliation, Sarah worked tirelessly to ensure her sister's well-being, and together, they faced one of the most difficult chapters of Diana's life. Sarah's support was critical during this time, and it ultimately helped Diana regain her sense of self-worth and confidence. But despite the pain that Diana endured, Sarah's unwavering loyalty and support remained a constant in her life. Even after Diana's tragic death in 1997, Sarah has continued to preserve her sister's legacy, ensuring that the world remembers Diana not just as a princess, but as a humanitarian who made a lasting impact on the world. Lady Sarah McCorquodale's story is a powerful one, of loyalty, love, and sacrifice. She has played a pivotal role in her sister's life, and in many ways, in shaping the legacy that Diana left behind. Sarah's decision to stay out of the public eye was one of the most selfless acts she could have made, allowing Diana to shine in the spotlight while keeping the family's personal life intact. Though her own life has been full of challenges, Lady Sarah's quiet strength and support for her sister prove that sometimes the most important figures in history are those who work behind the scenes without seeking recognition for themselves. In 1993, a scandal unfolded that would forever alter the course of British royal history. A private phone conversation from 1989 between Prince Charles and his longtime lover, Camilla Parker Bowles, was leaked to the public, setting off a firestorm that would go down in history as Camillagate, or more infamously, Tampongate. The intimate details of their illicit affair, which had previously been hidden behind closed doors, were now out in the open for all to hear. Perhaps the most notorious line from the conversation came when Charles remarked, with crudeness befitting a far less esteemed individual, that he wanted to live inside Camilla's trousers. It was a remark that shook the foundations of his carefully crafted royal image and exposed the royal affair for the world to see. The aftermath of this revelation was swift and unforgiving. The royal family, already grappling with mounting tensions between Charles and Diana, now faced a public relations nightmare. The scandal that had been whispered about for years was now front-page news, and the public's reaction was a mix of anger, disbelief, and shock. Charles, forced into the spotlight, could no longer avoid the truth. In 1994, he appeared on television in an interview with Jonathan Dimbleby, where he confessed to his infidelity. Although he never mentioned Camilla by name, his vague admission was enough to leave little doubt in anyone's mind that she was indeed the woman he had been involved with. For many, this confession was seen as an attempt to salvage his image rather than a sincere act of contrition, and his credibility was shattered. As the world digested the details of the phone call and Charles's subsequent admission, Princess Diana, who had long been the object of public scrutiny, found herself elevated to a new status. While Charles was criticized for his actions, Diana emerged as the people's princess, strong, dignified, and unwavering in the face of humiliation. It was Diana who became the symbol of resilience, and she captivated the world with her grace and compassion. Amid the public collapse of her marriage, she remained the epitome of the idealized woman, one who used her vulnerability as strength. However, Diana, ever the force to be reckoned with, had more to say. In 1995, she gave a groundbreaking interview to the BBC that would forever etch her name in the annals of royal history. In the interview, Diana delivered one of the most famous lines ever spoken by a member of the royal family. "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." These words, spoken with biting clarity, pointed directly at Charles's affair and were a direct challenge to the royal family's expectations of her. The world listened in stunned silence as Diana made it clear that she was no longer willing to remain the silent, obedient princess. She was ready to defy the constraints placed upon her and speak her truth. It was a moment of reckoning for the royal family, and the public's support for Diana only grew stronger in the wake of her bold declaration. The tension within the royal family reached a boiling point, and in 1992, Queen Elizabeth intervened, urging Charles and Diana to separate. 4 years later, the couple officially divorced. Diana, once a beloved princess, lost the title of Her Royal Highness, but gained something far more valuable, her peace of mind. The divorce marked the end of an era for Diana, and though she was no longer a member of the royal family, she found new freedom to focus on her 2 sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. She also deepened her commitment to her humanitarian work, continuing to use her platform to support causes close to her heart. Despite the newfound freedom that came with her divorce, Diana's life remained far from simple. She was a woman constantly under the public's gaze, and her every move was scrutinized. In an attempt to escape the pressures of her life, Diana took some time for herself and went on a well-deserved vacation. It was during this trip that she met Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed. Diana and Dodi quickly grew close, and what followed was a brief but intensely public romance. For a short while, it seemed as though Diana had found happiness again, and the world was hopeful for her future. She appeared to have regained control of her life, finding love once more after years of heartbreak. But just as quickly as it seemed to arrive, tragedy struck. On the night of August 31st, 1997, Diana's life was tragically cut short in a devastating car crash in Paris. Diana and Dodi Fayed were being pursued by paparazzi when their driver, Henri Paul, lost control of the vehicle in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The car crashed into a pillar, and Dodi was killed instantly. Diana, though gravely injured, fought for her life before succumbing to her injuries early the following morning. The news of her death reverberated across the globe, and the world was left in shock and mourning for the loss of a woman who had transcended the royal family and captured the hearts of millions. Diana's sudden and untimely death brought the world to a standstill. She had been more than just a royal figure. She had become a global symbol of grace, compassion, and humanity. The public's grief was palpable as they mourned the loss of the people's princess, a woman who had spent her life advocating for the less fortunate and shining a light on causes often overlooked by the elite. Diana had touched the lives of countless people, and her legacy was one of love, kindness, and unwavering dedication to humanitarian efforts. As her funeral took place in September 1997, millions watched as her coffin was carried through the streets of London. The somber occasion was filled with emotion, and Diana's sister, Sarah McCorquodale, delivered a eulogy that brought many to tears. It was a poignant farewell to a woman who had been loved by so many, and it marked the official end of an era for the British royal family. Diana's legacy, however, would live on. In the years following her death, conspiracy theories and unanswered questions continued to surround the circumstances of the car crash. Some believed that the paparazzi's relentless pursuit had played a key role in the accident, while others questioned the events leading up to the crash. The driver's alleged involvement in the incident, as well as a bodyguard's claim of amnesia regarding the events of that night, only added fuel to the fire. Despite multiple investigations, many questions remain unanswered, leaving the public to wonder whether they will ever truly know the full story of what happened on that fateful night in Paris. Despite the controversies surrounding her death, Diana's impact on the world has only grown in the years since. Her efforts to raise awareness about AIDS, her work with leprosy patients, and her commitment to the global campaign to remove landmines continue to inspire people around the world. Diana's philanthropy, once overshadowed by her royal duties and tumultuous marriage, now stands as the cornerstone of her legacy. She was a force for good, and her compassion knew no bounds. The royal family, on the other hand, has never fully recovered from the scandals that marked Diana's marriage to Charles. Although Charles eventually married Camilla Parker Bowles, the damage to the royal family's reputation persisted. Their relationship, once shrouded in secrecy, has now been accepted. But it was never free from the shadows cast by Diana's tragic life and untimely death. As for Diana's family, particularly her sisters, they have worked tirelessly to preserve her memory. Sarah McCorquodale, who had been a close confidant of Diana, has remained mostly out of the public eye, but her role in Diana's life remains pivotal. Sarah's quiet dedication to her sister's legacy is a testament to the strength of their bond, and she continues to honor Diana's memory in her own way. Diana's life may have been cut short, but her story is far from over. Her influence continues to shape the world, and her spirit remains a guiding light for those who seek to make a difference. Diana was not just a princess. She was a symbol of hope, defiance, and love. Her legacy, both in the royal family and the world beyond, will endure for generations to come. On August 31st, 1997, the world was rocked by a tragedy that would forever alter the course of history. Diana, Princess of Wales, known affectionately as the People's Princess, lost her life in a devastating car accident in Paris. She and her companion, Dodi Fayed, were being pursued by paparazzi when their car, driven by Henry Paul, crashed into a pillar in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Dodi died instantly, but Diana clung to life, battling severe injuries before succumbing to them early the following morning. The death of such a beloved and iconic figure sent shockwaves through the world. The news was felt worldwide. Diana had transcended her royal duties to become a global figure of compassion, grace, and resilience. Her influence stretched far beyond the British monarchy as she became a beacon for humanitarian causes, particularly those involving HIV, AIDS, leprosy, and landmines. People from all walks of life mourned the loss of a woman who had touched their hearts and whose life had been marked by such public and personal struggle. Diana's funeral, held in September 1997, was a deeply emotional occasion. The streets of London were filled with millions of mourners, paying tribute to the woman they had admired for so long. Her coffin, adorned with flowers, was carried through the city, as her fans and the royal family itself came together to bid her a final farewell. At the funeral, Diana's sister, Sarah McCorquodale, delivered a eulogy that was so poignant, it left many weeping. Sarah's words captured the essence of Diana's spirit, and the grief that followed her untimely passing reverberated across the globe. It was a powerful moment, a moment of closure, and yet also the dawning of a legacy that would never truly fade. But even in death, Diana's story is not so easily concluded. The tragedy of her passing has left behind a complex web of unanswered questions, with the details surrounding the events of that fateful night raising suspicions and giving birth to conspiracy theories that still circulate today. One of the most pervasive of these theories centers around the role the paparazzi played in the crash. Were their relentless pursuit and the flashing of cameras to blame for the accident? Did their harassment force the driver to speed through the tunnel, resulting in the crash that killed Diana and Dodi? Or was there more to the story, Foul play, perhaps, or a deeper conspiracy within the walls of the royal family. Adding to the intrigue was the testimony of a bodyguard who had been in the car with Diana and Dodi. The bodyguard, who survived the crash, claimed to have suffered from amnesia, unable to recall the events leading up to the accident. His inability to remember the details added to the mystery surrounding the crash and fueled even more speculation. Why couldn't he remember? What had really happened that night? The lack of conclusive answers has kept the public's imagination alive, and the questions surrounding Diana's death continue to captivate people around the world. For some, the unanswered questions add a layer of tragedy and mystery that only serves to make her loss feel even more profound. In the years that followed Diana's passing, her legacy has only continued to grow. She remains an icon of compassion, a symbol of defiance in the face of adversity, and a figure whose influence continues to inspire millions around the globe. Diana's commitment to humanitarian work is perhaps the most enduring aspect of her legacy. Through her tireless efforts to raise awareness about AIDS, leprosy, and landmines, she challenged social stigmas and brought attention to causes that had previously been ignored or misunderstood. Her work in the fight against AIDS, in particular, stands as one of her most groundbreaking achievements. In the 1980s, AIDS was a stigmatized disease, with many people affected by it ostracized and marginalized by society. But Diana, with her natural empathy and courage, defied the fear and misconceptions surrounding the disease. In 1987, she made headlines when she shook hands with an AIDS patient, a simple yet powerful gesture that helped humanize those affected by the disease and changed the conversation around AIDS worldwide. She continued to speak out on behalf of the National AIDS Trust and made it a priority to show love and support for those suffering from the disease. Her efforts helped shift the public's perception and pave the way for a more compassionate approach to the epidemic. Diana's work with landmines was equally groundbreaking. In 1997, she visited Angola, where she walked through a minefield wearing protective gear to raise awareness about the devastating effects of landmines. The image of Diana walking through the dangerous terrain was seared into the public's consciousness and helped galvanize global efforts to ban the use of anti-personnel mines. Diana's actions led to the signing of the Ottawa Treaty, which prohibited the use of landmines, and her advocacy continues to be a touchstone for international humanitarian efforts. In addition to her work on AIDS and landmines, Diana also devoted herself to fighting the stigma surrounding leprosy. In 1989, she became the patron of the leprosy mission and traveled around the world, visiting hospitals and providing support to those affected by the disease. Diana's willingness to touch and comfort those with leprosy helped dispel the fear and isolation that so often accompanied the condition. Her compassion and determination to make a difference earned her the admiration of people worldwide. Despite the lasting impact of Diana's humanitarian work, her personal life remained a subject of intense scrutiny, especially following her divorce from Prince Charles. The royal family's reputation was forever tarnished by the scandal surrounding their marriage, and Charles's infidelity, which was made public during the 1990s, only deepened the divide between the monarchy and the British public. Diana, in contrast, became the darling of the people, admired for her kindness and her willingness to stand up to the royal establishment. However, even after her divorce, the shadow of the royal family loomed large, and Diana's relationship with them remained complicated. Diana's sisters, particularly Sarah McCorquodale, have played an integral role in preserving her memory and ensuring that her legacy continues to inspire future generations. Sarah, who was one of Diana's closest confidants, has kept a relatively low profile since her sister's death, but her devotion to Diana's memory is clear. Sarah has made it her mission to ensure that Diana's humanitarian work remains at the forefront of the public's consciousness and continues to influence the charitable landscape. Even in her grief, Sarah has maintained a sense of dignity and grace, much like her late sister. The royal family, on the other hand, has never fully recovered from the scandals that plagued Diana's marriage to Charles. Despite his attempts to repair his image, the damage caused by his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles and the subsequent media frenzy has left a permanent stain on the royal family's reputation. Charles's relationship with Camilla was long seen as a source of public scandal, and even after their marriage, the public's perception of the monarchy was forever changed. The royal family's continued association with Camilla, now the Duchess of Cornwall, has done little to repair their image, and many remain skeptical about the future of the monarchy. As Diana's legacy continues to grow, so too does the fascination with her life and death. The questions surrounding the circumstances of her passing, the ongoing conspiracy theories, and the enduring public love for her all contribute to the mystique that surrounds her. Diana's story, filled with triumphs, heartbreak, and humanitarian accomplishments, remains one of the most compelling and tragic tales in modern history. Though she is no longer with us,